Biomed, Nexus Daily Updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR, the World Health Organization declared the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda a public health emergency of international concern, PHEIC, on May 17. The outbreak involves the rare Bundibugyo strain, for which no approved vaccines or therapeutics exist. As of May 16, 8 confirmed cases, 246 suspected cases, and 80 suspected deaths in DRC, with 2 confirmed cases, 1 death, in Kampala, Uganda. The FDA's leadership vacuum deepened further. Biospace reported that interim CDER head Tracy Beth Hoeg is out, days after Commissioner Makari's resignation. The agency now has temporary directors in its 3 most important leadership positions. Regeneron, Reg, reported that its Phase 3 trial of fianlimab, LAG-3 inhibitor, plus Libtayo, semaplimab, missed its primary endpoint in first-line unresectable or metastatic melanoma. Fierce Biotech called it the second failure of a key late-stage program, leaving Regeneron searching for its next immuno-oncology franchise. Takeda, TAC, announced 4,500 global job cuts, part of incoming CEO Julie Kim's portfolio simplification ahead of her June transition. Biopharma deal value through the first 4 months of 2026 reached 90-98B, outpacing every recent year, according to BioWorld. Executive takeaway: the WHO's PHEIC declaration is the highest level of global health alert under international health regulations. This one is potentially more dangerous than recent outbreaks because there are no countermeasures. The Bundibugyo strain of Ebola is rare, accounting for only a handful of historical outbreaks. Unlike the more common Ebola Zaire strain, which was the target of Merck's RVSV-Zebov vaccine, Ervebo, and Regeneron's Regen-EB3 antibody cocktail, Inmazeb, Bundibugyo has no approved vaccines or antibody treatments. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus determined the outbreak meets PHEIC criteria based on the high positivity rate of initial samples, confirmed cases in 2 countries, increasing syndromic reporting, and the likelihood that the outbreak is potentially much larger than what is currently being detected. Doctors Without Borders' Trish Newport said, "The number of cases and deaths we are seeing in such a short time frame, combined with the spread across several health zones and now across the border, is extremely concerning." For the pharma industry, this is a vaccine development mobilization moment. Moderna already has preclinical mRNA work underway for Ebola variants from its hantavirus response. Merck, J&J, and Bavarian Nordic all have Ebola-related vaccine platforms that may need adaptation for the Bundibugyo strain. The question is speed. How quickly can existing platforms be redirected to a strain no one has developed countermeasures for? Meanwhile, the FDA is approaching a governance crisis. With Makari gone, Hoeg out at CDER, and no permanent nominees announced, the agency responsible for approving vaccines and emergency countermeasures has temporary leadership at every level that matters. Read full analysis, what to watch. Ebola vaccine. Mobilization. Watch for announcements from Merck, Moderna, J&J, Bavarian Nordic, and Sabin Vaccine Institute on Bundibugyo-specific development timelines. The lack of approved countermeasures creates both urgency and commercial opportunity. FDA emergency response capacity. A PHEIC typically triggers FDA emergency use authorization, EUA pathways. But the FDA has no permanent commissioner, no permanent CDER director, and is operating with depleted staff. Can the agency mount an effective emergency response under these conditions? Regeneron immuno-oncology. Pipeline. The fianlimab miss leaves Regeneron without a clear next-generation oncology franchise beyond Libtayo. Watch for strategic pivots, potential M&A, or pipeline in licensing. RBC Global Healthcare Conference, Today, New York. Major pharma and medtech presentations. Strategic updates expected. ASCO, 12 days. Revolution Medicines plenary session. May 31st. Global Health WHO declares Ebola outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. What happened? The WHO declared the Ebola disease outbreak caused by the Bundibugyo virus in the DRC and Uganda a PHEIC on May 17th, the ninth such declaration in history. The declaration enables governments and global partners to intensify surveillance, preparedness, funding, and response. The outbreak? As of May 16th, authorities in eastern DRC's Ituri province reported 8 laboratory-confirmed cases, 246 suspected cases, and 80 suspected deaths across at least 3 health zones: Bunia, Rwampara, Mongwalu. Uganda reported 2 confirmed cases in Kampala among travelers from the DRC, including 1 death. The WHO noted that the high positivity rate, confirmed cases in 2 countries, and increasing syndromic trends all point towards a potentially much larger outbreak than what is currently being detected. The Bundibugyo challenge, unlike the Ebola Zaire strain, there are no approved Bundibugyo-specific vaccines or therapeutics. Merck's Ervebo and Regeneron's Inmazeb were developed for Zaire strains and are not expected to be effective against Bundibugyo. The death rate for Bundibugyo virus disease is estimated at 25% to 40%, lower than Zaire, up to 90%, but still extremely dangerous. Executive impact. The pharmaceutical industry faces a familiar question in an unfamiliar context. Can vaccine and therapeutic platforms be adapted fast enough to matter? mRNA platforms, Moderna, BioNTech, are theoretically the fastest to redirect, but no Bundibugyo-specific sequences have been validated. Monoclonal antibody platforms, Regeneron, Eli Lilly, could potentially develop Bundibugyo-targeted antibodies, but clinical testing takes months. The WHO has asked countries not to close borders or restrict trade, but Rwanda has already partially closed its border with the DRC. 9 countries share land borders with the DRC and Uganda. Policy and Regulatory FDA loses interim CDER head days after Commissioner Departure Biospace reported on May 15th that interim CDER head Tracy Beth Hueg is out, days after Commissioner Makery's resignation. Biopharma Dive confirmed that Makery's resignation leaves the agency with temporary directors in 3 top positions and a number of newly instituted policies with an unclear future. The FDA is now operating without permanent leadership in the Commissioner's Office, CDR, which oversees all drug approvals, and multiple other senior positions. This is happening as the agency may need to mount an emergency response to the Ebola PHEIC, manage ongoing PDUFA negotiations, and continue processing NDA-BLA applications, including Revolution Medicines and Lilly's Foundayo T2D filing. Clinical and research updates. Regeneron's fianlimab misses. Phase 3 in first-line melanoma. Regeneron reported that its Phase 3 trial of fianlimab, LAG-3 inhibitor, in combination with Libtayo, semiplimab, anti-PD-1, failed to meet its primary endpoint in first-line unresectable or metastatic melanoma. Fierce Biotech called it the second failure of a key late-stage program, noting the miss leaves Regeneron reeling. The study was designed to show that adding LAG-3 inhibition to PD-1 blockade improves outcomes beyond PD-1 alone. BMS's Opdualag, nivolumab plus relatlimab, is the only approved LAG-3 combination in melanoma. The failure narrows Regeneron's immuno-oncology pipeline at a time when the company is heavily invested in oncology growth. Corporate and business developments. Takeda cuts 4,500 jobs globally. Takeda announced approximately 4,500 global job cuts, according to Biospace, as incoming CEO Julie Kim accelerates the company's portfolio simplification ahead of her June transition. This follows the 634 US cuts announced in March, the Denali partnership termination in April, and the Veritas in silico termination the same month. Novartis also laid off biomedical research staff in the same week. The layoff trend across large pharma continues. Biopharma deal value through April 92. 98B BioWorld reported that biopharma deal value through the first 4 months of 2026 reached 92. 98B outpacing every recent year and running well ahead of 2025's $79. 82B over the same period. January and February each cleared 30B, while March and April totaled 18. 05B and 13.3B, respectively. The data aligns with Dealogic's 84B Q1 figure using a broader methodology, and Jefferies' earlier 172B full-year projection. The week ahead. Today, RBC Global Healthcare Conference, New York. Late May, Commerce Section 232 report on medical devices expected. May 29th, FDA RTCT public comment period closes May 29th to June 6th. ASCO annual meeting, Chicago. May 31st, ASCO plenary, Rasalute. 302 full data, RVMD. June 4th, Jefferies Global Healthcare Conference, New York. Read, full analysis, Biomed, Nexus. Pro-institutional intelligence brief, Bundibugyo, the countermeasure gap, the core problem. Every Ebola vaccine and therapeutic developed over the past 2 decades targets the Zaire strain. The Bundibugyo strain is genetically distinct enough that existing countermeasures are not expected to cross-protect. Companies with relevant platforms, Merck, Ervebo, RVSV Zebov, is the most widely deployed Ebola vaccine but targets Zaire. Merck would need to develop a Bundibugyo-specific construct. Timeline, months for preclinical adaptation, then emergency clinical testing. Moderna BioNTech mRNA platforms are theoretically the fastest to redirect. Moderna already initiated preclinical Ebola mRNA work during the hantavirus response. A Bundibugyo-specific mRNA vaccine could potentially enter clinical testing within 3 to 6 months if the outbreak persists. J&J Bavarian Nordic, the 2-dose AD26. Zebov MVA-BN Philo regimen, Zabdeno-Mvabia, was designed to provide broad Ebola protection across multiple strains. Whether it offers meaningful cross-protection against Bundibugyo is under investigation and could make it the fastest available countermeasure if validated. Regeneron, Regen-EB3, in May-ZB, is approved for Zaire Ebola. The Veloci Suite antibody platform could potentially generate Bundibugyo-specific antibodies, but clinical development would take 6+ months. The US withdrawal from WHO, initiated under the current administration, complicates international coordination. The FDA, operating with temporary leadership, must determine whether to activate EUA pathways for investigational Bundibugyo countermeasures. FDA governance crisis. Updated status position status impact commissione are vacant. Diamantas, food, acting. No permanent drug development leader, CDER, director vacant. Hug out. No permanent head of drug approvals, CBR, director vacant. Since April, a permanent head of biologics, vaccines, CDC, director vacant. No permanent head of disease, surveillance, surgeon general vacant. No permanent public health communicator. 5 critical health leadership positions are vacant simultaneously during a PHEIC. This is unprecedented in modern US public health governance. M&A running, total 93B through April, BioWorld's 92, 98B through 4 months, breaks down as January, 30B plus, February, 30B plus till March, 18, 05B, April 13, 3B. The front-loaded pattern reflects the mega deals that opened the year. Lilly, Centessa, Gilead, Arcellx, Biogen, Apellis. April was lower but still included Lilly Colonia, 7B, Chiesi Calvista, 19B, and multiple mid-sized transactions. May is adding BMS Hengrui, 15.2B announced value, UCB, Candid, 22B, and others. At the current pace, full-year 2026 deal value will exceed 200B consistent with both the Reuters 250B projection and Jeffrey's earlier 172B estimate, which used a narrower methodology. Catalyst calendar, May 2026. Forward date, event tickers. Today, RBC Global Healthcare Conference, New York. Multiple ongoing WHO Ebola, PHEIC response, Bundibugyo, DRC plus Uganda, MRK, mRNA, BNTX, Regeneron, May Commerce, Section 232, Report on Medical Devices, Expected MDT, BSX, SYK, ISRG May 29 FDA, RTCT Public Comment Period, closes N May 29 to June, 2 ASCO Annual Meeting, Chicago, multiple May 31 ASCO Plenary, Resolute 302, full data RVMD June 4 Jefferies Global Healthcare Conference, New York, multiple June 2026 Takeda CEO Transition, Julie Kim, Taclate Q2 Lilly Foundayo T2D, filing under CNPV if program continues, LYTB DFDA Permanent Commissioner Nominee, expected in July 1 Medicare, GLP-1 Bridge Program launches, LLY, NVO Curie, 2026 Teva, Emalex, close expected, Teva July, 31 Section, 232, Pharma Tariffs, Effective, Large Companies, Multiple H2 2026, Foundayo, T2D Regulatory Action, expected LLI H2 2026, Lilly, Colonia Close, expected LLI H2 2026, Ajax, Proof of Concept Data, expected LLI H2 2026, Revolution Medicines, CNPV NDA filing, expected RVMD mid-2026 Lilly, Retatrutide Phase 3 Obesity Readouts, Triumph Program, Lilly Sepetine 19 Ultragenics, UX111, PDUFA Sanfilippo Type A Gene Therapy, Rare Sept 29 Section 232 Pharma Tariffs Effective, all other companies, multiple Deck 7 Lilly, Investment Community Meeting LLY, Visit the Pro, Hub Read, full article, limited ASCO week, sponsorship slots available, May 29th, June 2nd. Reach 65,000 plus professionals during the biggest oncology event of the year. Learn more. Is your company listed in the Biomed Nexus directory? 2,104 companies across 14 categories. Claim or upgrade your listing. Sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing. New Biomed Nexus Signals, weekly sales intelligence for life sciences BD teams. Learn more